Under exception C1, C2, C11, and C10. That can I get a roll call? I'd like to call to order on November 22nd, 2022, Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. Roll call.
Mr. Riddle.
Present.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak.
Here.
Mr. McBride. Ms. Gonzalez.
Here.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Present.
President Ewing.
Here. Ms. Hannah, if you be so kind. Oh, sorry, with that, I'd like a motion to go into open session.
So moved.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Hannah. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We're now in open session. Ms. Hannah, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can.
Well, I would like to welcome you all to the Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. I do want to say happy Thanksgiving to each and every single one of you. I have been practicing a moment of gratitude over the last week. Many times we can become consumed with what is wrong, and trust me, there is a lot that is wrong, but we have so much to be thankful for, and the thing that I'm thankful for most is our students. Every time I get to interact with them, every time I get a chance to speak with them, every time I get to champion their successes, it reminds me why it is that I do what I do and why it is that we all are here, and that is to support our students. So happy Thanksgiving to all our staff. Take this much needed time to break, to enjoy your families and your loved ones, and come back ready as we have our sprint to the holiday break. I do also want to acknowledge that this unfortunately, and I mean in a district this size, it shouldn't say unfortunately, but it has seemed like it is coming much more often. And while I know that it's a time of celebration, it is also a time of sorrow, as we know that there are many of us who will be celebrating this holiday without loved ones. So if we can have just a brief moment of silence for those that we've lost. Thank you. The board did attend our annual IASB conference through the state this past weekend. It was a great time, lots of learning, information that I can't wait to report out, some things that I want to bring back to the district. And we also had the opportunity to share some things that we are doing right with other school districts. So it was a great time. All the board members did or were able to attend, as well as many of our administrators, and it's always good to connect with others to see what is happening in the state, get updates. And one thing that I will speak to very briefly as it relates to safe schools. I went to a session which talked about that the way we approach safety with additional cameras and metal detectors and policing may be having an adverse effect to how we say we want to keep our schools safe, right? And so this is something that we know, and something that I will continue to be discussing, is we have to have other opportunities to make sure that we are building community. Is the number one indicator of if there would be school violence, dealt with the fact if a student felt connected to their school, right? It wasn't their grades, it wasn't their family background, it wasn't their race or their gender. The number one factor was if they felt a connection to their school. And we've heard from this podium on more than one occasion that our students are struggling with connection. And that is having ramifications in our schools and our school buildings. And so I'll be working with the board and superintendent with some suggestions and solutions to that. So with that, I have Ms. Gutierrez, who will be speaking during our student board member report.
So I just want to apologize if the video is blurry. It was from my iPhone. But good evening, everyone. As you can see, or once it plays, I finally set up my Waukegan Student Entrepreneur Wall. And the reason I did this was to show my support and also inspire other students to become an entrepreneur. I want to become an entrepreneur when I grow up, but for now, in the meanwhile, I will be just having my innovative thinking and supporting these small businesses by these talented Waukegan students. While I was going through things, I found a quote from my 7th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Turner, and it says, "Success isn't measured by money or power or social rank. Success is measured by your discipline and inner peace." This was by Mike Dikta. These students have stepped up to be a part of my wall and have shown all the discipline that they need and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. And as we go into Thanksgiving break, I want to give a shout out to all the staff who have been there for me to check up on me or encourage me along the way while I keep on with my journey. I hope you all have a good holiday and eat really good food. Thank you. That's all for tonight.
Good job, good job.
Well, if we can start it over, or is there any sound with it, Ms. Gutierrez?
No.
No, okay.
So yeah, we have people who are into cosmetology. They do nails, they do pastries, flower decorations, and I think, yeah, that's all.
That's wonderful.
Food also.
Where's the wall?
This is located on the first floor across the main office at Washington campus.
And just want to say kudos to Ms. Gutierrez. As a student board member, this was one of the initiatives she wanted to have happen, and she took the steps in order to ensure that it was happen. We will be starting our search for our new student board member in a few months. Well, starting now, but they'll be appointed sometime in January. So we have Ms. Gutierrez, who is here to help usher in that new student board member. Every one of our student board members have taking this position to the next level, and Ms. Gutierrez is no exception. So we appreciate her service and commitment to the Board of Education and the students of District 60.
Can I say something about that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I when I originally brought the student board member initiative forward, I was really hoping that that the student board members could serve a longer term, because they're just in their first year, they're just getting started and beginning to know excuse me and beginning to know how they're navigating through their service as school board, a student board member. And I would really hope that that we would decide to make the student board member term at least 2 years, and it's something that that we can do if we choose to do that, and the state statutes do not say that it has to be a 1-year term, because in actuality it really is actually months. So I hope that the board will review that and think that maybe in the future it will we can make the term a little longer.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah.
I'd like to add on to that, Brandon.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to add on to that because I think that we should be hearing from more than just one voice of students. I don't know how we can make that happen, but I just think that we should be hearing more than one voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking from a student, also from an equity standpoint. We need to hear from more than one voice, because we have a lot of students, and a lot of students see things different. And I think we need to hear from all our students to get their point of view on what's going on inside the buildings. Thank you.
Right, and Mr. McBride, you're right, and that's why I was hoping at some point that we would be able to appoint alternates with this initiative regarding student board members.
Thank you for the comments. Next up, we have special recognition and presentations. First up, we have Spotlight on 60, Culture and Climate.
Culture and climate, those specialists are an integral part to the school's success. Most will look at them as, well, they're just the behavior specialists or they're the deans of discipline. I'm changing the focus of that because I want them to be seen as what they are, and those are high school administrators.
We handle mostly a lot of disciplinary issues, but the main focus is to shift the culture and climate of the building in general.
So here at Brookside, we're about celebrating children. We're about making sure that they feel good about being in school.
I focus not on the punitive or getting a student in trouble, but I'm here to keep them out of trouble.
We work with multiple different layers of the school, as in the counselors, the social workers, just to make sure that the kids are having an equal environment in the classroom, and we're providing accommodations as needed to each student.
The school is taking the initiative, trying to change that behavior. These kids are going through a lot of adverse childhood experiences. Those things cause a lot of issues such as PTSD, anxiety, depression, and you can't punish that. You can definitely hold students accountable for things, but you cannot punish it. We want to go more so towards restoring, building the relationship, and that's the whole idea of the culture and climate position. The culture is how you're building relationships in the school, it's how you're going to impact and making a change, and the culture helps build the climate.
So there's 5 of us culture and climate team members at this building, and of course we have our SRO Philological.
Most people will say, oh, the SRO, why do we have a police officer in the schools? I think in this school, it is important because he's not just a police officer, he's a friend to a lot of these students. And I think that he gains the trust of them.
What inspires me is the kids. Why have you not been here? You need to be in school. I've been doing this for 7 years. It's probably one of the most rewarding positions in my career. I think I earned their respect and by just being honest, being personable, not acting like that I'm above them.
If you're approachable, students will tend to want to reciprocate.
Just having that understanding, that compassion to say, okay, you had this outburst in class. This is a safe space, a comfortable space where you can be open and talk to me.
Also, we try to work on our what is called TA, our trusted adult. So they have a TA in the building that they can go to and they can trust and have a conversation with no problem. And know that there's not only no punitive damage, nothing's going to happen to them.
We take the concern serious and we handle it serious. So we can let the student know that we got their back, we want the best for them.
We have weekly meetings where we collaborate to help see maybe what may be happening in the community. We've seen great strides and great improvements. One of my goals is to make sure that we have 85% or higher attendance from our juniors and our senior students, and we are right on that cusp.
We're seeing a lot of improvements because we see children that are actually coming and talking to us about the things that are going on with them.
All right, Daniel Schultz. Congratulations, sir. Proud of you.
We just celebrated a bunch of our students who have 5.0 GPAs. So we don't want our job to just entail of handling discipline, but we want to also highlight those students who are doing well.
It takes a village to raise a child, and I'm trying to help our school really be family oriented, that these students can feel like they can trust us. And along with that, trying to make sure that the parents understand that, yes, they might be your children, but they're our children.
Being from the same community as them, I want to be able to push these kids just how I was pushed as a student, and to remind them that just because you come from a community like this and you go through whatever you go through in your background does not mean that you are not going to succeed.
And we're going to do everything we can to change the face of our school, to change the face of our community, but most importantly, shine a spotlight and make it a bit of sunshine in these students' lives.
Thank you for that D60 and 60. Next up, we have the Community Health Logo Contest.
Hello. I'm part of the Walking in Public Schools 60 Youth Outreach. I just want to review what our mission was. Our mission was to bridge the gap. It still is our mission, to bridge the gap between walking in public school, high school students, and services and experiences that can help them better manage their stress and anxiety. Our intentions were to model a healthy approach to mental health and mental health services, to create safe spaces where youth can take the lead in conversations surrounding mental health. We intended to be clear about who we are targeting, which is high school students of walking in public schools. And we intended to make our presence known as folks who are committed to this cause. We also wanted to intentionally show up at events that deal with mental health issues. So to do that, we had a logo contest. And we asked the students to tell us what should we be called. We wanted them to have some ownership. And we had a large amount of students engage in that contest. And tonight we're going to reward them. I just want to say the names of the 41 students that participated. Y'all gonna have to see these logos. We're gonna find a way to show y'all these logos. But Alexi Gomez, Daniela Rios, Madeline Monti, Maya de Dantiago Moreno, Lisa Rooney, Abigail Acosta, Adriana Cortina, Anna Abarca, Anayeli Fuentes, Annabelle Estrada, Armando Mendez, Arturo C., Cameron Maldonado, Candy Vasquez, Cheyenne Brown, Dyron Pasilla, Darlene Fajardo, Devian McMillan, Emily Cantor, Emily Giles, Emily Sanchez, Evelyn Castellanos, Janet Delgado, Jasmine Hernandez, Jasmine Jamies, Jai Figueroa, sorry if I mispronounced that, Jennifer Morales, Jillian Rodriguez, Justin Tala, Carla Sanchez, Kyralyn Barber, Lily Yogerst, Luna O, Magdalena Guzman, Maria Fonseca Islas, Martha Knox, Maya de Santiago Moreno, Michaela Bryant, Natalia Flores, and Caitlin Loyola. So all of those students were runners up, and they got 300 hero points. I do want to mention that I hope you guys can support us in trying to amplify the HERO program. A lot of the students didn't know what it was. They didn't know how it worked, and they really related it to punitive. They see hero points being removed from them more than they see hero points being given to them, and we really need to adjust that. So in third place, we have ZZ Colorado. ZZ Colorado created, I don't know if you guys can see it, that logo, which is YASM, Youth Anxiety and Stress Management. So that was her.
Nice. Hey.
Wow, nice.
Good job.
You want to say something? No, okay. In second place, we have Ray Platt with SAMY, Stress and Anxiety Management for Youth. And in first place, we have Bon Reza with Say. She said we should be called Say. Stress and Anxiety Youth Group. And that's what we want. We want the kids to be able to say when they need help. We are really proud of them. I want everyone in this room to know that every time we do a listening session or engagement with youth, they are solution focused. They always come with some sort of solution, something that is joy-centered. They have asked repeatedly to have more incentives, to have more field trips, to have more things where they can build relationships with staff. I have to keep amplifying that they keep overperforming. Nice. So thank you guys.
Very nice.
Picture it in. Picture this all in.
And not only that, we want to really say thank you to the board president, Miss Yvonne DeFulton, Demontre Hodge, Miss Briscoe, Miss Berry Swartz, and Miss Sierra McNeil. This was not easy, y'all. This was really hard work. And to amplify what he said, they are talking. They're talking. They talk to us every time we were there. So if all of y'all can just stand up and give these babies an applause, that would be amazing. They deserve this. Thank you.
I do want to reiterate that this is a community inclusive effort. Did you take the picture? Okay.
You got us all in there when you get closer. We gotta get in closer. I want to take off my coat. Not you, right?
Where's the other one?
That's what the superintendent can, if they are, if they're okay with it. I was hoping that we could get those pictures that they done, if we could get them put in our frames for a while. Yes.
All right.
Good job.
So I did want to make two comments. Oh, you guys can sit down. Sorry. Of course.
That big check.
Just don't try and bring it to the bank in cash, okay? I got the real ones up here, so don't leave before I get them to you.
I did want to reiterate that this is meant to be a community inclusive engagement. We meet every Tuesday via Zoom, and we really want this to be an opportunity for community members, staff, subject matter experts to come together and be part of a solution, to critique the solutions, to say how can we do this collectively together. We saw community members come into the library, come into the lunchroom, and engage with them, because we really want to be clear about saying you have to be in the space. You can't have a position about the high school that's from like third party or other. You really got to get out here and see it. So we really would hope that anybody who wants more information reaches out. You're always welcome to be in those spaces. But in good conscience, and I'm going to speak specifically to you, Miss Hannah, because I got to tell you something.
Yes, sir.
This last outreach that we did, it was so violent. It was so violent that, and that was from staff, not the young ones, because we keep talking about the young ones. I had never been in an environment like that felt so much like prison.
Oh, Jesus.
They couldn't stand up. Yelled at every moment they moved. And we telling them to come to us and fill out this survey. We were walking around with the incentives, the candy, and there were young ones that had filled it out, and they were so scared to move that they didn't want to get up and come get the candy. I know that people have been at this for a long time, but we gotta rethink policing these babies like this.
Yeah.
We gotta rethink surveying these babies like this. They're saying they want community. They couldn't even move from one table to the next. It was bizarre. Like, I couldn't even exist normally in that space. And so while I am so proud of these young ones doing this work, because they performing in spite of it, they still don't deserve that. No one deserves that. And we know that black and brown babies are over policed. We know that. Over surveyed, right? Over criminalized, right? Not allowed to have their youth. They've been asking repeatedly to just be young. They've been saying, y'all ain't letting us play. That's what they say in our listening sessions. Can we have more games? Can we have more where the teachers just play? Right? And I had to ask myself, when do they get to just play? And I don't know. I don't know that. But I also know that Wednesday, we were treated very aggressively because of lack of communication.
Wow.
We have done everything to reach out to everyone and explain ourselves and be transparent and say, this is what we're doing. These are the dates we're going to be in here. This is who we're bringing. We have our IDs. And we were treated very violently. Wow. We were interrogated by multiple people. And I don't know what the issue is with communication, but we don't deserve that. Wow. We're volunteers. And I felt bad inviting other community members into that space knowing that they would feel that violence.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. I have to say that in good conscience. I want to work together. I want to keep this. This is a brilliant project. But the people don't deserve that. The kids don't deserve that. And I have to say that, okay?
Yeah. Sorry for that experience.
Yes, ma'am.
As a board member, as senior board member, it's heartbreaking to hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure we will be discussing it further. Yes, so thank you for the information.
Thank you for that, and thank you to the students. I do want to give recognition to, in addition to all the members of the team that have been meeting, but we also had Ms. Frankel, who was the art teacher, who was instrumental in amplifying this work, making sure that the students knew about it. She's an amazing art teacher over at the Washington campus, and she wanted to make sure that our students had this opportunity, and even gave class time and other time and information and assistance in order to make sure that they could participate, and was instrumental in collecting, making sure we got everything and communicating that. So we really do appreciate Ms. Frankel, who couldn't be here this evening. And then there were multiple students who came before the board and spoke about mental health, and all of those students' voices 100% matter and were valued and are what got us together. But there's been one student that has worked with this group since June of last year, and that's Jackie Palencia, who's been amazing. She's a senior over at the high school, and she acted as a liaison, made sure that students knew about it, made sure that she went around and collected information. And so we are very, very thankful to her and her efforts, and we'll be thinking about a way that we can reward her as well. It's because how many juniors at the time, now seniors, would give up every Tuesday in the summer in order to meet with these adults and talk about these things that we are the adults are supposed to be solving. And so I want to talk about the agency. I started off with I'm thankful for our students. Our students are phenomenal. You see it amplified and exhibited here tonight. And our 3 students, all of the names that submitted are student board member and Jackie in her absence. So with that, I'm going to come down just so I can say hi and give each of you your awards, and then we will continue with and I do is right is because there was a donation which was made for the first place winner, and the team said, what can we do for the second and third place winners as well? And so I appreciate Ms. Fulton and district staff finding the money, making sure that the kids were there, because we want to continue to reward our students, not just asking them to always give, but intellectual property is valued and should be rewarded in our community. So thank you, and I won't belabor the point, but I do want to make sure you guys get this before you go.
And they actually got more than 300 Evo.
Oh, good job. Good job, good job, good job.
And that was inspired that did that, so thank you.
All right, good job.
And again, so this our board meeting. We're going to continue with it. Anyone that has to leave can do so. I just wanted to make that clear. But there is no school tomorrow. No, Ms. Leguizamo says break, so they can, as long as the parents and they are willing to.
But they do have to get. They still have to get the civic points and credits, right? For coming to a board meeting?
Don't know if it started yet, but if you guys need somebody to sign off to say that you were here, you know, bring it back there.
They got pictures. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. With that, we have the approval of minutes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Riddle.
No, I was just going to make a motion that we approve, if it's okay, the minutes for A, B, and C at one time. Go.
Second.
We were all here.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the minutes? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We now have an opportunity for public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for the community to speak to the board. This is an opportunity for you to present information. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning staff and student names in your remarks. There will be clocks along the room on the screens, and each speaker will get 3 minutes. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you would get an additional 3 minutes for a total of 6 to allow for translation. Our first name is Ray Vukovic.
Hi, good evening. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Got 2 items I'd like to talk about tonight. The first one, the student board member position. I think this is the fifth student board member.
Yes.
And it's been refreshing to watch them come through here, and they've got the courage and the backbone to sit back there and speak about things that are going on in the schools that many of you should be talking about.
Absolutely.
And I would hope that some of the student board members at some point, we would see them actually sitting in a board position, because they've experienced it, they've lived it.
Yes.
The other thing I just want to talk about, I know we want to be positive all the time. That's but people expect a certain level. 53 cents of our property tax dollar comes to this school district, and that's the smaller piece of it. Several times that comes from Springfield. So there's a lot of tax dollars that go here, and people expect things to be running properly. And sometimes things have to be brought to your attention. Like you've passed 3 sets of minutes tonight. I've brought that up several months ago that you were months behind. Months. You were behind in getting that done. You've had issues with FOIA over the years that people, not just myself, but others that haven't gotten things on a timely basis. Here's something else timely. 7 months ago, 26th of April, you all approved a contract for $36,000 to evaluate the administrative pay structure in this district. And I remember speaking at the student achievement meeting before that, saying, that's great, once you get that done, you need to be doing that for the teachers, the nurses, the paras, and everything like that. Well, that was supposed to be done the 5th of June. 5th of June, and we've never seen a report on it. You went and raised administrative salaries in June, but you didn't have that report to base anything on. You know, there needs to be better follow through on stuff like that. You could just check it off. Well, we hired this contractor, or we spent money on that. We've outsourced it. But somebody needs to come back in and make sure that the work's being done and reported back to the public, because our tax dollars spent that, and we'd like to know what the report is. You know, I did my own report a couple months ago and brought it to your attention. Our superintendent's among the top 10 paid in the state. So, you know, I hope that's in that report whenever you get it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovich. Next name on the list is Calvin Mathis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
There's a phrase I need to use. It goes, "In God we trust, everybody else brings data." In God we trust, everybody else brings data. We are in a data-driven world today. Superintendent, I remember not too long ago, maybe a couple of months ago, when you turned to one of the board members, he was making a comment. I don't remember what the context was. And you said, what data do you have to back that up? And the board member responded, "I don't need data." I was in my mind, I was like, well, yes, you do. You just can't make statements and not have the data to back that up. That being said, I'm still waiting on the data on bullying. Now, I feel you're playing, Mr. Blodgevich, because I'm in that boat now. And the reason why I want to look at the data is because I just want to know, if you're putting together a policy on bullying, what are you using? How are you putting together a policy without data? Is it because you just know that you have a bullying issue? You know, and then you just know that it's the black kids that's causing the problems? I want to follow up on this young man. He said about the cops in the building. I saw the video, and I've seen the black faces you put on the screen there, the assistant principal. I get it. Makes us feel good. But one thing he pointed out, that cop with the big vest, the big badge, and the big gun, dealing with students. With all the problems that you guys have had with the police within the last year, I don't have to tell you what it is, you're going to the police to ask them to work with them to help you with your bullying policy. Good luck with that. They have no interest in helping you with your bullying policy. What they have interest in is putting people in jail, people that look like me. I have no confidence in the Waukegan Police Department because we paid out so many settlements. That department is broken. And then you bring them over here in the school to do even more damage. The school to prison pipeline, as you mentioned, President Ewing. One more quick thing in the last few seconds I have. You have a psychologist in the school system, right here. And I don't hear anything from him. And I'm glad you brought this up. You guys are working with the kids. You guys should be working with the psychologists. All this goes together. This is not really hard stuff to put together. I'm beginning to understand what's going on now after 2 years working with Brother Blanks. And I just want to encourage you guys to find solutions.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. The next name is Christine Lindsay.
Good evening, everyone. There's a lot to say. 3 minutes is not enough. What I wanted to talk about was the lack of transparency and communication within the district. Because if you keep us in the dark, that covers you from accountability. And we're tired of it. We're done. The student achievement meetings, which are held on the third Tuesday, that information is not easily accessible. That's the meeting where we can have a voice and engage with the board and the topics that they're talking about. Where's that posted? Where's that blasted? We want community engagement. Even on social media, we have individuals on the board saying, hey, if you want to run for a board position this coming April for the election, reach out to me. I can give you resources. You're giving us an extra step to access that information. Just give it to us. There are plenty of people in this community that can do a great job. I have to commend President Ewing. You do. Just put it out there. We don't have to contact you or follow up to say, I got the information, ask me if you want it. Active listening skills are poor. We have been here saying what we need. We have posed questions that have gone unanswered. It took a conference for the message about how we deal with the safety in our schools for it to be heard and for you to be ignited into action. The SROs, 2 years ago, that was a board conversation. Community members, students came up and expressed how they felt. They weren't listened to, but at the conference, for sure, yeah, we realized this is a problem. In that video, that officer was in there way too many times. Way too many times. The police are not our friends. They are professionals in a capacity doing a job. Teaching our kids that they are friends without preparing them for how to interact with police out in the real world, you're not doing it. And as to that District 60 message, please pay attention when you put this together for the bias in people's words. A community like this. What does that mean? I see a hardworking community. I see families who care about their children and want the best, and they send it to our schools, and the data is not there to say we have the best schools. Get your act together.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Next name is Clyde McLemore.
Good evening, board members. I want to wish y'all a safe, happy holiday. First of all, I want to thank this board for the Black Lives Matter banquet that y'all did for us. I hope y'all got, the ones that was there got something out of it. That's what I want to say on that. A couple of weeks ago, we had a teacher jump on a student. I'm gonna try to do what y'all say, don't put names in it, but everybody know what I'm talking about. And through my investigation, you know, I try to be with transparency. I talk with everybody. I went over there and talked to the principal, the assistant principal, and everybody. But what I don't understand is, right after that incident happened at Jack Benny School, they went in there and made all the children delete the videos from their phones. I'm like, why would they make them delete the videos? I mean, a couple of kids kept it, but they did go in there, and if a teacher, I mean, if a student minds the administrator, they deleted it from their phone. Now it's supposed to be something bad for them to have. But how can, I mean, come on, where's the transparency? That really messed with me, to have these children delete their video from their phones. I had a problem with that. You know, all we want to know is the truth. We know videos don't always tell the truth, but it tell best of the truth. You know, that's the best we could get. We got now a teacher that's saying that he was hit, he was striked. There was a video, but it's deleted. Where's the transparency in this? And I don't like that. I feel betrayed. I feel betrayed as a leader in this community. And when I got the call and I'm over at the hospital and I'm with the family, And I tell them, you know, everything's gonna be okay. Just trust the process. Let's just wait on But we can't always trust that process. That process always get deleted, or something gets in the way. You know, and man, that wasn't right. That's all I want to say. That wasn't right. And I'm saying it to this board, to the attorney, because you know some lawsuits go come, but the video should not, the administrator should not have told them children to delete that video. You know, that shouldn't have happened. You know, again, thank y'all for your time. It's the worst day of my life, but that's okay.
My condolences, Mr. McLemore, and thank you for your comments. Next up is Mr. Rayon Edwards.
Everybody really spoke tonight, but tonight I want to talk to you teachers, staff. We have board policies, and I want the board to consider this because I've talked about this before when we dealing with politics. Politics of no kind should not be in our schools. You guys have policy. Policy 1003 talks about materials being in the school. Petitions should not be in our schools. Our kids ain't old enough to vote. And any adult that want to sign those need to do it outside of the school. So we need to look at that, Ms. Kathy. I'm quite sure that's a board policy that they're not supposed to be there, and some type of ethics violation should be done. I will be back to talk about that. But tonight I want to talk about these teachers, staff. Mr. Coleman spoke briefly about it, but it was me that was talked to. If the way that staff member talked to me Wednesday, if how he talked to me, and I'm a volunteer and adult, you cannot make me believe he don't talk to those kids like that. And I'm so proud of me, y'all. I'm proud of me. I am proud of me. Because where I come from, you have space. And that space is never supposed to be violated. We walked the halls of Brookside. I watched over 10 staff curse at kids, and y'all wonder why these kids cussing back. That's why. Do y'all know where these kids come from? Do we not understand that school is the only place of peace that they got? Our libraries is not even being used in there. Them babies said, give us a field trip. Them babies said, put a movie on in an auditorium. Teachers, come play Uno with us. Respectfully, we're paying too much money out to entities. And I'm sorry, I am, because tonight was a good night. But we volunteers, y'all. We shouldn't have had to do that because we paid millions to BAM and Wild now. And when we pay that type of money out, we need to be paying it to entities that have the manpower, because right now we should not have vacancies at a time like this. And we don't like to talk about these type of things, but these are the things that need to talk about. Because most of us that's doing this volunteer work, guess where we from? Guess where we graduated from? Guess where we live at? Here. Here. And I can guarantee you, we got some data better than any group y'all have paid to go in those schools. And we working outside too. Y'all come on, please, y'all. Please, please, please.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Mr. Williams did notify me before public comment time is ended. So, yes, you've been added to the list and you have 3 minutes, Mr. Coleman. And for the record, that's William Coleman.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I did want to say that I keep petitioning anyone with resources to please provide mental health resources and stress anxiety management for the people who are doing the work. We keep talking about giving these services to the young ones. These parents don't know about SEL. They're not in a space to get it. You got all these people working day in and day out We are not against the staff. We're not against security. We're not against anyone. But everyone is working in a high anxiety, stress situation, and people are not going to therapy for many reasons. Some of us are choosing not to go to therapy for many reasons. The answer is therapy. We have many cultures and many healers that can come in various different ways. And we are working with the Lake County Health Department. We're working on health equity boards. But it comes down to, will we as a community, as the adults, say, I have to go to therapy? Trauma runs deep, and it impacts DNA. The data is showing that. Science is showing that. We have PTSD. You have immigration issues. You got, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. But we aren't going to therapy. And we expecting us to magically come up with solutions that's going to fix it. There is no space for the people who are doing the work right now to network in a joyous space. Where do we go? For drinks, for wings. Nothing. It's just this work, day in, day out. That's why we fighting. That's why we arguing. Because everybody is touched and stressed. But don't nobody want to go to therapy, or no one wants to admit that they're going to therapy. We have to normalize therapy, all different types. And we have to let these kids know we gonna go. We gonna go. Because if you're the only person in your family going to therapy, it creates a silo. It creates isolation. And you have no one else to talk about what you're discovering and how you're changing and how you're adjusting. These kids want to express their boundaries, and their boundaries should be deserved and respected by people who are also going to therapy. We can't be mad at them because we're not brave enough to stand up to our parents. These kids are coming out and saying, you're going to respect me. Stop doing that to me. And I'm sorry that that happened to you, but you ain't going to do it to me. We have to hear that. And it starts with therapy, please. We saw what happened in Highland Park. They came out. They came out and gave therapy. And we get nothing but death.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. All right. With that, if we can get the agenda back on the screen. All right, we have our consent agenda. These items have been put there in order to expedite the work of the board. As many of you know who come to these meetings, they can be very, very long. These items have been previously discussed and or should be non-controversial. Any board member can request that any items be held over and voted on separately for any reason.
I have a request. Board President.
What would you like to be held over, or voted on separately?
Item B.
Okay. And that's it?
Yes.
All right. With that, I'd like
Board President.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I.
So B and I.
Thank you.
All right. So I'd like a motion to approve items A, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, and K.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Leguizamo. Not all in favor. I got to take a roll call. But anybody, any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And I'm going to read these into the record. Item 10A, approval for Embrace IEP and 504 subscription. C, approval for attendance at the Innovative School Summit teaching SEL competencies addressing learning loss. D, approval of attendance at the National Association of School Psychologists Conferences in Denver, Colorado. Dates there. E, approval of Pacific Educational Group, PEG, Courageous Conversation, Racial Equity, Systemic Transformation Contract. F, approval of Equity and Education Partners contract renewal, AVIC Network Monitoring Tool. H, attendance at the Assertive Technology Industry Association.
J.
J Smart Sheets Project Management Tool Renewal, and K IB Conference for middle years program. We're now going back up to B, approval for attendance at the Learning Disabilities for America Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve Deanna Butler to attend the Learning Disabilities of America Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada from February 20, 2023 through February 23, 2023 in the amount of $2,005.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion that we approve the recommended action of the superintendent as so read.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes, I think that we need to an email was sent to us by a diverse learner staff, and they are in opposition to the administrators going to this conference because they've already been to this conference, and that they've been attending the conference, and that none of the information that they have gained from the conference has quote trickled down to the staff in the schools, and there's a number of teachers that often complain that the administration never shares any of the updates to the law or the special education procedures, and that there's other concerns that was presented to all the board members regarding this, and I think that we need to look at this, because see, I had asked a question about this conference in terms of who was going to the conference, and it's like the same people are going instead of the professional development being spread around to other diverse learner staff. And so now I can't support this for that reason. And I think that we need to look at or have some type of process and procedure in place for when we do send staff on PD conferences, to make sure that every person is able to take advantage of that professional development, and that it's just not one or two or three people always going. And to add insult to injury, then the information doesn't filter down that is going to benefit the staff and the students.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hannah. You raised good points about possible future discussions there, and I repeat it all the time. For individuals that may be interested in a conference, superintendent, your staff should know how the process requests come through. There's a lot of valuable information at these conferences. I do want to just be clear about what's being asked for this item. This is one staff member, Miss Diana Butler, the name is there, which is why I'm saying it, to attend Learning Disabilities Conference. She is the DL coordinator for Washington campus. So this is one individual who works with students over at the high school and has a team. And so I will support this measure, but I don't want to you to believe that your requests are going ignored. We know, as those who attend conferences, is it's not the same information that you receive every year, which is why you may go. But I am all for giving as many individuals the opportunity and increasing and to share the knowledge. So your point is made. I will support this measure in regards to sending this one staff member. And
with all due respect, sir, I think I had the wrong one. All of my board members.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Well, correct me.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Miss Hannah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Miss Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Miss Gonzalez.
Yes.
Miss Hannah.
Yes.
Miss Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. All right. We are item approved. Motion carries. Now we are at item I, attendance at LRP Legal Institute in New Orleans, Louisiana, 4/15/23 through 4/19/23.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize diverse learner administrators, Assistant Director Dr. Cheryl Caesar, Diverse Learner Director Dr. Gregory Bublitz, as well as coordinators Teresa Clark, Dennis Adams, Sol Luskin, and Deanna Butler to attend the LRP National Legal Institute from 4/15/2023 to 4/19/2023 in the amount of $28,204.46.
So moved as amended to also add an additional person in attendance of this conference, and that would be for Board Member Jeff McBride.
Got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments, questions, questions on the motion?
I just want to say that I misspoke on this, the first item for the attendance at the Learning Disability of America Conference. I misspoke, and this actually, item I, was the conference that I was speaking about. So I do apologize for that. And so this one I will not support.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. Any other comments, questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Miss Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Miss Gonzalez.
Yes.
Miss Hannah.
No, for the reasons I stated earlier.
Miss Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, and thank you, Ms. Anna. So again, Ms. Superintendent, I hope that you've heard that feedback. The board is looking at spreading the wealth, and there's been a request from staff members that the information that's learned from these conferences be shared with the diverse learners team.
I'd also ask that if there's a concern from a staff member that the board received, that if you could please send that to the superintendent and the deputy of academics. Without that, there's no way for us to address it.
Well, all the board members received it. It was sent
I'll
to all.
forward it. I'll forward it.
Okay, yeah, because, yeah.
So we have the consent agenda for operations. These items were previously discussed and or should be non-controversial. Any board member can request that any item be voted on separately. Are there any board members who request to vote on any item separately at this time? If not, I'd like a motion to approve items 11A through G.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak, second by Mr. Riddle. Any comments, questions on the motion?
I just want to speak to item E about the soccer. I have no problem with soccer, but as we know, the daylight is shorter, and over at McCall School, I'm not real sure why they have big floodlights that are out there, and they are causing the people driving. It's kind of blinding to their eyesight. So if someone could please, superintendent, look into that. And I'm not saying anything about the soccer. I'm talking about the lights that they're using, and it's like the lights are bigger than this room. Little exaggeration, but they're very big, and they impede drivers' vision.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Deputy Moulton is not here, but Ms. Hannah, if you can, or Mr. Kruckenberg, I see you back there, if you could take that message. Thank you. All right, so we had a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at, and I'll read those, 11A, approval to attend National Child Nutrition Conference in San Diego. Approval to purchase two 48-passenger yellow school buses, 48 passenger yellow school buses. C, approval for replacement of exhaust fans in WHS Washington campus locker rooms. D, approval for replacement of the controllers on 5-unit ventilators at the Washington campus. E, approval of facility rental waiver request for Inter-Waukegan Soccer. F, approval of a 3-year lease for 2 drivers' education vehicles. And G, approval of CPI training. We are now at personnel items. 13A, personnel for 11/22/22.
It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointment and accept the retirements, resignations as found on schedules F991, G649, and L938.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve the, I'll make a motion to approve the, this information as read by the superintendent.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Can we pull out the retirement part and vote on that separately?
What's the number, Ms. Hannah? What's the schedule number?
The schedule. What's the schedule?
Yeah, so we do have a motion and a second. Are you willing to amend your motion?
Whoa.
Oh, that was down that side.
G649.
Who was, no, you got, you and Adriana were
Yeah, I
first
was
and
the
second.
second.
You were the second.
I'm not gonna change.
Oh, yeah, it is still
G649.
G649.
Not really.
I think that
G649.
I think it was discussed already in closed
In
session,
personnel
and
matters.
I'd like to leave my motion as it is.
And I think if
Well,
we
I-
want to change our policy, because it's a personnel policy, right?
It's not a
We-
policy, it's a practice, but yeah.
No, it's a practice, but I am requesting to vote on it separately.
And so because there's
I
a
respect
motion
that,
and a
Ms. Hannah,
second, they're not willing to amend it. Ms. Hannah, you would either vote yes for the full schedule or no against the entire schedule.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yeah, I am in opposition to voting on schedule G649 as it appears, because the years that are listed here are far beyond the actual retirement date and the actual retirement year of retirement for these individuals, and so I don't want this to become a practice, and it I mean there's ways that that can be done because of what is considered a 6% penalty, which the Board of Education gets when it gives raises to that group at retirement, and so I am in opposition to that. And so my vote is yes for everything other than the retirement.
You
Even
can't
though
vote.
I know I can't,
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
but I
understood.
am letting it be known.
If we can get that noted for the record. Next name.
Ms. Lekisamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. I will go back because I think that may create confusion for the community. I will clarify during board member time. Next up is the superintendent contract amendment number 12.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve Amendment 12 to the superintendent's contract setting forth her performance goals for the 2022-2023 school year.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion to approve the recommended action as read by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments, questions to the motion?
Can we just pull them up so that people can see them?
Can you open that up, Mr. White?
Board docs, acting slow.
Below.
So
Like
there,
further down.
So
You have to scroll
page
down.
two.
Second page, yeah.
yeah, I want the individuals from the community to know there are no changes as it relates to compensation, contract extensions. This is the annual process of the board's approval of the superintendent's goals. I'll read these. Again, they are attachments. But goal 1, by March of 2023, the Office of Academic Supports and Programs will continue to develop and revise planning and programming related to academic and social emotional learning in order to implement inclusive and equitable practices within every school and classroom throughout the district. Furthermore, every school will provide opportunities to increase instructional time for students by offering academic and social emotional support through tutoring before, during, and after school, as well as summer enrichment to ensure opportunities for all students to develop their academic and social emotional learning skills. Social emotional support will be embedded within the curricula, and social work and counseling services will be provided as needed in order to address mental health needs and or existing traumas. This is a continuation of the goal through last year. It is one of the commitments of the board in consultation with the administration is we believe that our students need extended day and extended year in order to make up some of what we saw as the learning loss experience due to COVID. We will continue to finance and fund those initiatives to make sure our students have those opportunities. And obviously, as we heard tonight, counseling services and our response to trauma has to be essential to anything. So this is continued work. Goal 2, by March 2023, the superintendent, in collaboration and input with school principals, will create a cohesive Black male student achievement plan for 2023-2024 school year that increases the academic achievement of Black male students in our school district. Again, when we look at every metric, our Black boys in particular fall to the bottom of every scale. So this is an intentional focus on that area. Goal 3, by June 2023, the district will evaluate all software that have yearly contracts and will eliminate duplicate and ineffective programs by developing a software evaluation tool set matrix to analyze the effectiveness of application software platforms that are used in all grade levels pre-K through 12. And again, this is looking at stewardship of resources as well as utilization, as we have a lot of programs and tools that we've heard, and we want to make sure that we're using those effectively and the ones that we have are being utilized to their full capacity. Goal number 4, by March 2023, the superintendent will launch a self-care campaign in which we will partner with community organizations to focus on monthly wellness, mental health, physical activities, and professional development initiatives for employees. Again, this is done with a view, as you heard even expressed from the podium tonight, is that those that do this work are struggling, and what we want to do is make sure that we're providing intentional supports to them. So those are the 4 superintendent goals. We scroll down. We also have additional KPIs that we want to look at, and that's an increase in the freshman on track rate, of 2% minimum increase in the graduation rate this year by at least a minimum of 2%. Diverse learner inclusion to increase by at least 1%, and IRA ELL proficiency rates to increase by a minimum of plus 2.3%, as well as ESSA designations to improve at least one ESSA designation for our school district. So with that, if we can have the agenda back on the screen. We do have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
You know, I do agree with the work that the board did, and the superintendent coming up with her goals. They're good goals, and the only thing that is troublesome to me is the percentages of the what we're going to increase to. And I found this out at the conference, that what we are increasing the goals to, it's actually too low. So I'm kind of torn. I want to vote for this because the goals are good goals, but the metrics are too low.
Yeah, so I think that's a fair point, Ms. Hannah. I do think there are two separate things to your point. So we have metrics that we're using specifically for those 4 goals, and then you have the KPIs that we're looking at monitoring, that we're looking for forward progress. And so what Ms. Hannah is saying is, while she agrees with the written goals, you are having an issue with the level of KPIs. And I think with that, one of the things you will, or I recommend, right, is maybe one of the situations where you vote your conscience, as you always do, right?
I do, and you know, I don't want anyone, particularly the superintendent, to think that I'm voting in opposition to her, because I'm not. I just wish we could have raised the number up higher, you know, for the goals. So,
and I do want everyone to be clear, as no one expects this to be where we land. What we wanted to do was to actually do the goals over a number of years as it related to the KPI. There's a number that we want to be at, a target number, after much consideration and talking, and actually points raised, fair points by Ms. Hannah, is that we are in the midst of a board elections, and we would not want to tie a board to KPIs set by this board when everyone may not be here. So these goals and these KPIs are specific to this 1 year, and then any board will come back and we will see at the end of this year where we need to be. What I will say is that my hope is that we would not hit any minimum. A minimum is just that, and what we need to do is strive to exceed any minimum so that our students achieve success.
Right.
We have a lot of learning loss to make up. So
Right.
I struggle too, Ms. Hannah. I'm going to support the measure. I know you didn't vote yet, and we were in the midst of a vote, so I don't want to have too much deliberation. But either way, you got to vote your conscience.
I do, and my conscience says to pass, because I don't want to disparage anything.
No, your points are fair. So I
Yeah.
know it's no disparagement. This is what this is for. If you want to continue with roll, Jasmine.
Ms. Lekisamo.
Board President, my comment on this one here is I too also agree with the written goals as stated. So that is why I will be supporting it. However, with Exhibit D, as in dog, the KPIs, I was one of the people that wanted this as a multi-year plan. so that we can lay out the foundation for where we want to land in within the end of that multi-year plan, especially since this is at a superintendent level and this is a strategic plan. So I just wanted to express and put that on the record, my discontent with just the 1 year in the Exhibit D, and my vote is yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leguizamo.
President Ewing.
Yes. Item approved. Motion carries. We are now at 15A, Ethics Commission appointment of Latanya Burton.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education reappoint Ms. Latanya Burton to the Ethics Commission for a 2-year term ending on November 30th, 2024.
I make a motion that we approve the Ethics Commission appointment as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hannah, second by Ms. Gonzalez. What I do want to say is Ms. Burton has served for the last 2 years. She is a local attorney with a practice in downtown Waukegan. We appreciate her service to the district and am glad that she is willing to serve for additional 2 years. Due to a scheduling conflict, she had planned to attend to take her oath tonight. She will not be able to do so, but does plan to join us at an upcoming meeting in order to complete that. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at financial reports, ratification of the second processing of November 2022, board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 2nd, 2022 through November 15th, 2022.
16A?
You got to read it, yeah.
Oh,
ma'am.
I'm sorry. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second processing of board bills for October 2022 and manual check request payments and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 2nd, 2022 through November 15th, 2022. The accounts payable board November 2nd, 2022 through November 15th, 2022. Payments total $7,458,548.86. The manual check request payments for the period of November 2nd, 2022 through November 15th, 2022 total $10,618.55. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 2nd, 2022 through November 15th, 2022 total $0.
I make a motion that we approve the financial report as presented.
Motion
Second.
by Ms. Hannah, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. For time, unless there is any significant updates, I'm going to ask that we hold committee reports
And delegate.
and delegates report. Ms. Hannah, if you can maybe prepare a report for the next board meeting on what important resolutions passed, just so
I
we
will.
can update the board and the community. Ms. Hannah serves as our delegate, which means she gets to vote on resolutions with IASB, things that will be supported or that the organization will take to the state to
Advance to
advocate
the-
for or advocate against. So thank you for that. Superintendent's report.
At this time, I'd like to call Stephanie Jemisek and Dr. Null up to the podium to make a presentation on BAM and WOW.
Good evening, everybody. Happy early Thanksgiving.
Yes.
School Board President, Superintendent Placencia, community members, and colleagues. We're just going to provide a brief update on BAM and WOW since July, and then we will do a formal update at the semester with the attendance, grades, and any academic progress that students have been in with BAM and WOW. Sorry. Next. Okay, so currently BAM serves all 8 schools. BAM is in all 5 middle schools and all 3 high school campuses. WOW is at all 5 middle schools and Brookside. There currently is only 2 vacancies. There's 1 vacancy at Brookside to increase the BAM counts, or to have 2 at Brookside and 2 at Washington. And WOW has 1 vacancy at Brookside to increase it to 2, and 2 vacancies at Washington campus. In addition to the implementation of the BAM and WOW curriculum, the counselors have also been providing support to classrooms, facilitating conflict resolution, advocacy and consultation, and working with parents and guardians. So since July of this year, BAM and WOW has provided 5,244 different types of services to our students. They have provided over 1,000 counseling services, over 3,000 brief encounters, and 4 students have received individual counseling. So this is the current recruitment at each of the buildings for BAM and WOW. As you can see, like Benny, at 101 students, they are maxed out. A BAM counselor should only have a caseload of 65 max. So the fact that there are certain middle schools that are already maxed out past the 65, they are really, the recruitment has maxed out. At, for WOW, the reason that Washington campus and AOEC has 0 is there's currently no WOW counselor there. So that's why the recruitment is at 0. But there will be an AOEC WOW counselor hopefully at the end of the month. So that recruitment will increase. So in January, when we provide an update, I will provide an update for those students that are currently in the program, what their grades were for first quarter, and how they've improved at the semester for all these students. Next. Here's our demographics for BAM and WOW. So as you can see, 56% of the student population that is getting BAM or WOW is Latinx. There's 29.6 is African American, 11.4 is multiracial, 1.4% is white, and then 1.7 is other. And then here's the percentages across grade level. So as you can see, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade is our highest percentage. 9th grade is at 9%, 10th grade is at 8%, 11th grade is at 2%, and then 12th grade is at 7%.
And I want to hold questions, but when I see data, just for understanding, this is not saying 2% of 11th grade students. It is saying 2% of all of the students that are enrolled in BAM and WOW are in 11th grade. Yes. Okay.
Yes. And then we wanted to highlight all of BAM and WOW extracurricular events that they have done in our community. They have, over the summer, BAM counselors have hosted a basketball summer program for the students. They've also delivered programs and curriculum to all the students over the summer. They took our students to a field trip to Great America in September. In October, they had a family fun day at People's Choice where it was open to the community. In October, the WOW counselors also from Lewis and Warris took the students on a field trip to a pumpkin patch. In October, the WOW students from Brookside attended Wicked in Chicago. In November, BAM and WOW took students from both Waukegan and from Chicago, and they saw Wakanda Forever. And then in November, BAM and WOW counselors are going to take the students to the University of Wisconsin-Madison for a tour of the college campus. Next week? Yeah, sorry, last week, yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Could, this is a request, okay? As I was looking at the information that was sent to us, you all included, I guess, data.
Correct.
From your program out of Chicago. And so I am requesting that when the information is presented to us in the future, that it only include Waukegan.
Can you clarify? So those numbers that we're saying of the individual sessions since July 1st, is that just Waukegan or does that include Chicago?
Only Waukegan.
Well,
It was just the field trip. It was just the field
Oh, I'm sorry,
trip.
just the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm talking about the information that was sent. The information that was sent to us regarding the youth guidance. Okay, because
This one. So
there's two
So, like,
different.
on page 3, it says on November 11th, the 71 BAM students from Waukegan joined a total of more than 400 BAM students from Chicago region. So there was a joint effort from students from Waukegan and from the BAM program in Chicago to see the movie together.
So all of this.
So all of the data on the first page is just Waukegan?
Yes.
So this is all Waukegan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have one question, Brandon.
Go ahead, Mr. McBride.
Oh.
I noticed in your presentation you only had 4 students for individual counseling. How did that
Right.
work?
So at the start of the programming, that's where we're identifying who are the students.
And I do apologize, but if you can use the microphone only because for people online. Thank you so much.
Sorry, no problem. At the start of the program, during the enrollment and the recruitment phases, that's when we're identifying who are the students that are going to be needing individual services. So it's 4 students now because those are the ones that were raised up right away that they needed some additional supports as we're getting groups up and going. But as the year goes, it'll be more individual supports that become what the young people are needing. But at the beginning of the year, it's just those that are raised as having, for a while it's on the assessment, we immediately recognize that they need some additional supports, or they're coming to us directly and saying, I need some direct additional supports. For BAM, it's the same thing. As they're getting to know the students, they are identifying that they need those individual supports, and we start providing it right away for those particular ones, but we identify them as the year goes along.
And Ms. Wozniak has a hand, but what I want to do is break it down is because you all are a group mentoring model.
Correct.
Right, so these are individuals that are requiring additional supports outside of that group mentorship model.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Wozniak.
How many of these students were students you were servicing last year? Do you have that percentage? Are most of them rolling over, or
yes,
is it?
So yeah, we are rolling them over. Last year, and I know you can probably speak more on this, but we are rolling them over. We don't have that data. If you would like it, we could try to get that data
I'd love
of
to
what the
see that, too.
percentages. But I know there's, like with transfers and everything, that kind of impacts to like how it rolls over. Transfers. Some kids graduating, and some kids. I keep telling like our 8th graders we have programming at Brookside, but a lot of them, once they graduate from 8th grade, they're going off to other high schools, either whether it's in their community or closer to their home, or parents moving. But you wanna,
yeah, so in relation to Miguel Juarez, I have 47 students, and my caseload reduced from that 55 because I did take a supervisory role. So I'm technically supposed to have 40, but I have 47. Out of those 47, specifically 34 are returning, and then the new ones are 6th graders that are new to the school.
And so the other students, did they move out or just decide not to rejoin?
They graduated.
They graduated.
I had a big
Okay.
I had a big 8th grade group last year, and majority of my students seeked BAM.
I saw the.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
At graduation, what are they? Stoles.
BAM stoles. So go ahead, Mr. Ridolph. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah. Could you tell me what's your average size in a group? How many kids come on an average week?
Depending on their attendance, if they are there and everybody's there, we try to keep 12. No more than 15. 15 is
about average. 15.
About the max, and we really work with the space that we got too. So 15 is really pushing it at times, but we try to stay to 12 as far as BAM goes.
Okay.
Same with WOW.
And you give every student a chance to input, right? So you're really encouraging them to talk.
Absolutely, we encourage just them to be their authentic selves in that space. So everybody gets a moment. Everybody gets as much time as they need. Nothing is ever rushed. we really just encourage as much as we can get from our students
And
by
how-
modeling that, of course.
How long is that? What's an average time length for those sessions?
We get one period.
One period.
You know, yeah, absolutely. We get one period a week, and we really collaborate with their teachers, support staff, building administration to make sure that they are still getting supports outside of their classroom, but also not missing that same class every period. So we do our best to really just rotate and work with the schools as a whole.
Good. All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yeah. I wanted to make a couple comments because I think it's important, and I'm glad that you all are giving an update because we want to see that continued interaction, like y'all are familiar faces. I just want to say a big thank you to what you guys are doing because I have not met one student that says that they don't regret being in this program. Anytime I go to my teacher friends, anytime I go into the schools and I happen to see a club member say that, you know, how's Bam Wow, I don't know, sometimes they have t-shirts or they mention it, they enjoy being in that safe space with their friends, maybe people they didn't expect to be in that cohort with. And I know it's changing some community members' mind that we're a little bit hesitant about welcoming the program into the schools, which I think we should continue to do. But I also wanted to invite the board members who haven't yet gone to a session to go and see what it's about. Because, you know, back to Mr. McBride's point, sometimes individualized counseling it's not always the method best to reach the student. Sometimes they need that backup being with people their age to talk about, oh, I'm also failing class, like what can I do to get better, you know? So I like Mr. Scott at Brookside. I don't know if he's still at the campus. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you to that and to invite board members to really see the work because that's what the students are saying is working for them.
Can I just add one comment to that?
Oh,
Recently we had a team from North Chicago come. They've heard about the program and the impact that it's having, and then they understand that our two districts have a high mobility rate between each other in some cases. So they came out to Brookside. Stephanie and I were there with members of the team behind me here as well, and we were able to talk to them about the program. They got to, you know, observe and kind of see the space where the counselors work in.
Some of which should be bigger though.
Yeah,
They're really
space is a
small.
premium everywhere, but
Yeah.
so they got to see some of the spaces where the counselors work and learn more about the program. They asked us a ton of questions about it as well. This program, you know, as you can see by the numbers that were shared, our counselors are getting maxed out because of the program is growing in popularity. We're at almost 900 kids right now that are currently in the program. So it's continuing to become more popular and expand. I think now that we're in year 3, students, they really know, if they haven't heard yet, they're starting to understand and know what it's about. They understand and know what supports are provided. Obviously, the counselors are in the school, establishing relationships with the students and the teachers and the staff. So we attribute all those things to the program growing at the rate that it is, and we're very excited about the pace that it is growing as well. So to your point, Ms. Gonzalez, any board member, if you want to come and observe a session, they'd be more than welcome to invite you and have you. Just let them know when you're coming so they can, you know, make sure the students are aware that there'll be other people there and that kind of thing. So we open that invitation to anyone who's interested.
Mr. McBride, then I have one comment.
Of course, you know, I've been over to your sessions, and as far as you speak of space, I think it's important that kids be close together rather than wait. The problem I have is that I'm going to ask again, some of those hardcore kids that really need BAM, I know you said you can't make them come, but those are the kids get lost in the shuffle. And that's the issue for me because of the fact that the reason you're here in our district is because of those kids.
Right.
And so that's, you know, I don't know what we can do to come up with some incentives or come up with some ways to pull them in, but they need to be in there.
So I think that if a student truly does need BAM and WOW, there are supports at the building that will kind of recruit them to BAM and WOW if that's the best fit. You have social workers, you have counselors, you have teachers. You know how we talked about that every student needs a connection. They need someone, a trusted adult they can go to. As BAM and WOW grows and, you know, the popularity grows, The kids that truly are going to need it are going to go to that teacher and be like, I'm really struggling. Where can I go? Who can I go to? And that teacher can totally say, you would be perfect fit for BAM. And that's how we get them into the program. That's how we can, it'll happen. But there has to be that building level team, that social worker, that psychologist, that counselor, that all work together to kind of identify those students and kind of steer them into the direction of BAM and WOW, if that's what the best fit is. We'll get them.
And I just want to speak on behalf of WOW. I meet with my counselor regularly every week, and she is working with those students. And one day I can actually have her come and speak to you about some of the students she has worked with, but they're coming and they're seeking her out. And if you ever are at Brookside and you go to the WOW space, you guys were there, they knock on the door, like I can't meet with her for an hour because they're like, we need you, we need you. I was, something happened to me, I got mad at the teacher, I walked out of the class, so they are seeking her out for support. So it is happening. We are meeting with all types of students that need the support and that are seeking her, and they have a connection with her. So I am seeing that in our schools where we're meeting with more and more of our students, a variety of students. I don't want to call them challenging students because I don't believe any student is challenging, right? But they just have different needs. So we are meeting with those students. I'm seeing it at Brookside when I meet with my counselors, and I'm seeing it across the rest of the schools that we work at, that our counselors are talking to me about, some students that may be having other presenting problems that they're bringing to them. So we are meeting with those students, and I know you've been saying that's a concern. I don't know how we can show you that we're meeting with those students, but we are meeting with those students.
If I could just add to what Juliet shared, it is with young people in this work that we do, it's a slow process. It took them years to get to where they're at, and it's a slow process, so we be patient with them. We have to, the work that they're doing, so it's BAM and WOW that are meeting with those students. They may not come to group, but they may come to that room. Us collaborating with the school, with the culture and climate people, the social workers, the school social workers, and the school staff to help just change the culture of, don't know what I'm doing. Just being a part of that community will help shift some of the behavior, that externalizing behaviors that you're seeing, but it takes time. And one of the things that we are all in this work to do is to not only get those ones that are externalizing, but also the ones that are internalizing. We've had a lot of conversations with schools recently around not just overlooking those ones that internalize, because they're ticking time bombs. And they're ticking that ticking is going to show up in a variety of ways. We've seen a lot of increase for WOW in our assessment tools around just suicidal ideation. They're thinking about suicide. And just because they're not externalizers, they're internalizers, that means that we have to put in that extra work to find out what's going on for them. And so that's what BAM and WOW does by being in the schools. We are able to get at that type of stuff, not just being there for those externalizers, but also digging in to find out what's going on with those quiet ones that are getting good grades, but they got something else going on, and we might just be that person or be able to give them enough peer support so that they are able to tell a teacher that something's going on and that I need that support. So I just wanted to emphasize that the fact that we are in the schools allows us to get at both of them, just in different ways, but you gotta be patient because our young people need that patience, they need that grace. They need that adult that is willing to meet them where they're at and hold their hand while they're going through the process. So that's all I want to add.
I do want to say thank you. I do want to amplify what Mr. McBride is saying, and understanding what you all are saying, is I don't want to remove any supports for our students. I think what we on the board are saying, how do we increase the number of supports, is because this, when the board brought it in, was a targeted intervention, right? And so we really want to make sure that at those schools, those students that need the services are ours, because BAM and WOW, from the numbers, is a fun program. Kids are going to want to say, hey, I like this. But are we forgetting some of those other students if we're not being intentional in our referral process and making sure that there are wraparound supports for every kind of student? And so if BAM and WOW is a targeted intervention, what other interventions and items do we have in our schools to address all our student populations? So Right now, keep doing what you guys are doing, but that has to be an internal conversation of making sure that we know what students are receiving what supports from what the different organization is. Because if they're brought in to target, when we go back to the community, like Ms. Gonzalez said, and we're building trust, is they want to see that those students that we were brought in and designed or asked to support reaching that we do. So I do know, just like Ms. Gonzalez said, many people really enjoy what Bam and Wow is doing, and it's been really good to see the program grow. We know that there were many challenges when we first started with getting up and running right after COVID, but we're seeing it. And so any way we can better integrate you all into our school district and school system, I think benefits our students. So thank you, and we appreciate you coming and presenting. All right. Next up, we had old business, the graduation requirements. I do want to make just a very brief statement. We've seen this policy now, I think, 4 or 5 times. The superintendent, in order to be prepared for next year, is asking that we take action at the next board meeting. So I do want the board to be prepared to vote on the recommendation. Yes or no, vote your conscience. I have further questions that I'm examining, and so again, I would ask if you have them, get those into the superintendent kind of immediately, because at my request, we've held so that we can really talk about it and think about it. But if we're going to implement this in any way, and it's not to say we have to say yes, but if we say yes or we say no, the staff has to be ready to and prepared for what they need to do for next year. Sure, go for it, Superintendent.
And I just also want to remind the board that this is not a superintendent initiative. We brought the community together, and 2 board members have led this initiative. So we really just need direction on which way we're going so that we can be ready for the following year. This is the recommendation from the graduation committee that was part of the goal that was set for last year under the superintendent's conference. This is still one that's lingering out there. So I do want it to go on the record. This is not the superintendent's recommendation. This is the recommendation from the committee that has been composed to look at this along with a team from the academic side of the house.
Ms. Wozniak.
So this is for 2023 graduation or 2024 graduation?
Dr. Cesario, please correct me if I misspeak, but this will go into effect for the upcoming school year.
Okay.
July 1st.
Clarify that.
Yeah, July 1st. I think as the policy currently stands, it would go into effect July 1 of 2023. So would it impact next school year? Like, so not this graduating class.
It's not the graduating class of 2023.
Right.
No.
Okay. It's next year's
Graduating.
seniors.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think it would be. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to clarify.
All right.
And just to be clear, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Lexell.
Yeah. Sorry, just to be clear, and I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties with technology here, but is this for the 16 or the 17 credit that we're voting on?
The recommendation is 17.
The recommendation is the 17. Okay, thank you for that.
Okay. Next is engagement of legal counsel. Item 20A.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education engage Hodges and Louisi, Essenhammer, Rodick, and Cone to conduct Title IX training and assist in the Title IX investigations upon request of the General Counsel.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion to accept the recommended action as read by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gonzalez. Comments, questions on the motion?
Yes. I think Ms. Hannah brought it up, and that it was to make sure that whatever cost factor was going to be, that we be clear as opposed to what that's going to be. And if there's any additional costs, whatever the amount that is set, that before anything go any forward, that we come back and know what we're going to be dealing with.
Right, because
I think that's only fair to, instead of just, be blindsided with a cost. At least you'll know what you're dealing with.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm raising
Go
my
ahead,
hand.
Ms. Adam.
And I am requesting from legal counsel that we are given an update on where we stand in our legal expenditures. Mr. Morris would keep us abreast of our legal costs, and I think it's time for us to get that report, and all of the legal costs, up to this point.
Okay, so the board had
For all of the legal services that we have received.
So the board had received certain information up to a certain date, right, Ms. Vanderbroek? So it will be anything from that until today.
Okay.
Thank you. The motion. Go ahead, Ms. Lexama.
This question's for our legal counsel, as I know that the Title IX training is scheduled for our complaint managers and Title IX coordinators. I was also hoping that the legal counsel will be in attendance for the training cohorts, just so that they could also get a brief overview of the extensive changes to the Title IX laws.
We'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vanderbroek.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. It is board member time. I'm going to go first only because I wanted to make clear what the question was in an earlier item was in relationship to when teachers come forward in their last 4 years or up to 4 years, they can receive an additional 6% versus whatever the annual raise is, or as it is discussed in the collective bargaining agreement. Ms. Hannah took issue with the fact that, again, if someone's notifying us now that they're going to be retiring in 4 years, their retirement date will be listed 4 years from today. She would like that to be held. Our current policy for the last 5 to 6 years has been this process. So nothing changed tonight. There was a concern or a question, or Ms. Hannah didn't like how it was viewing. But with what we were approving, what we weren't approving, this is so that we can track and monitor and prepare for upcoming retirements. So when someone notifies us and says that they are retiring, it goes on the agenda with their expected retirement date. I have, and I will be fully transparent about this, as we face a current teacher shortage crisis. This was done years ago when you were trying to get younger teachers in the profession. It was something to say, hey, if you notify us so that we can prepare and you retire, we're going to give you additional monies. Right now, we have that incentive, which people are, quite frankly, putting in their retirements, but we don't have that teacher force to replace those retiring teachers. So that is a much longer conversation. But all the board did tonight, there were no changes to how things have been coming forward. Ms. Hannah had a valid question or concern, and we'll follow up with that. But as a board, this has been our process and how we approve these things, and it's very transparent. It's clear. Is when HR receives a retirement, it's put on there with their estimated retirement date, and we vote on the item. So I wanted to just very briefly explain what that was, because Ms. Hannah wasn't saying she disagreed or not supporting, and I don't want to put words in her mouth to retirement. It was how it was showing up on the agenda. Is that correct, Ms. Hannah?
Yeah, because and past practice was not to present it that far out.
Yeah, so I think that's a fair.
Even though those teachers were at the high paying level, and they kept track of those teachers, and so that they did not get to that 6% where their salaries were going up.
No, I think that's what you're watching. Is that correct, Mr. Figueroa? Is that we don't get? That's why you bring them forward. I just want to make sure Ms. Hannah is concerned about the penalty related to those that exceed the six. It would be above 6%. Is that correct?
6%.
No. So if it's 6.1, Ms. Hannah.
6%. I know what it is. It's been that way for a while.
Above 6. Sorry.
Mr. Figueroa, I can help. This is all contractual language, so we cannot violate the contract. Teachers have the right to put their 6%, and I do want to make it very clear and go on the record that the administration and the Board of Education will follow our contract language that is in our binding contract with our teachers union.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Figueroa, just because I don't want there to be any ambiguity that we will not respect their 6%. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Figueroa.
Yeah.
Actually, to Miss Pope, because
And I don't want to get
she
sidetracked
knows
with
what
this.
I'm
I just wanted to clarify for people that were confused. Ms. Hannah's concern is related to exceeding the 6% minimum. If we can come back and just make sure we're not. And then there's a secondary concern with how it's viewing or why we bring them forward. That'll be a board discussion as to how we like to receive that information. It's worked thus far, but now we have a board question. Ms. Wozniak?
No, I didn't have a question. I didn't
Board
have a
member
question.
time.
Yeah.
Board member time. I went to several sessions, very interesting sessions. One was about the school foundation at Kewanee High School, the Kewanee district, and they had $4.3 million in their foundation fund.
Wow.
Wow. For 12,000 people or 13,000 people in the city. So they have grown this program, and I would love to see our foundation do the same, if we could do that. Also, Evanston has what they call a residency program, where they give teachers a $40,000 stipend to commit to going to college to get their master's, and they also pay $14,000 of the tuition, and they also they partner with a university to make this all happen. And I think these are two excellent examples of how we should follow.
Thank you, Board President. I don't have any of my updates from III yet. I'll have that written and provide it to the board under information items and the community. So I just wanted to say, have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Board President.
Ms. Hannah?
I too will present on my III experience at a later board meeting. And happy Thanksgiving to the administration and also to all of the audience that's watching us.
Mr. McBride?
Yeah, I attended an equity conference forum. I want to say that we as a district, we should be way more in advance where we are now with our equity initiative. And also, too, I attended Mrs. Polk's presentation that she had done for finance. And what I've really learned, that we have a special person here in our district, because anytime you get 40 to 50 professors, I want to say, from various districts sitting in a room, you're going to always have 2 or 3 that know a whole lot. And so whoever the presenter is better be on their toes. And she got challenged about 5 or 6 different times. And during that time, her getting challenged, she was able to answer the questions 100%. and then add another 5%. And so basically, what she done, she did some training and teaching for other district employees and staff, and they all in the room got up and gave her a round of applause. So I had to get up and when she asked me that, I had to say, well, that's our staff member for finance.
She can't go nowhere, Ms.
Right.
Polk.
And she's the Michael Jordan of the staff finance individuals in Illinois in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Mr. Riddle.
Yes, I just want to thank the administration and the staff and our fellow board members that attended our III convention this year. As everyone has said, it was phenomenal. We had some great speakers. We were able to share with fellow board members from other districts. We found out things that they are doing right, and also our district, as Mr. McBride said, presented and shared two presentations that we are doing really well. So other districts were pleased to hear that. This is a very valuable conference that we all go to, and as we've said, we came back with a lot of good ideas, some of which we'd like to implement in our own district. Education, again, is the most important thing we can do in our community for our future, for our children. And we're inspired by the work that's being done across this state and across our country in education, and we want to improve, and we're excited about what we learned. And thank you so much for letting us attend this year. I also want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, you and your family. Thank you.
But this would.
Yeah, it's across our district and across the state. Is that what?
No, this was something.
Oh, this is something different.
Yeah, sorry, Ms. Gonzalez.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I have a lot to say, but I won't say it all, and I'll try to be concise. But I want to say that I'm very proud of our meeting today, because even though there was disagreement and questions, we managed to get through, the consent agenda, and we kind of understood everyone's viewpoints. I will ask, though, that when we're taking the vote, not to make the comment first and then take the vote, because I think that added to the confusion, and I think procedurally, it just makes more sense. But I am very proud of the work of the meeting. I want to give a shout out to the students who won the logo contest. I want to give big kudos to Ms. Frankel. She was my art teacher. We have amazing talent in our schools, and I know that she wants to not only display the winners, Zizi, Cassandra, and Ray's work, but the rest of the students who submitted artwork. And I also want to show solidarity with the folks who spoke out about, how hostile they feel sometimes in interacting with some of our staff, and the conversation about police in our staff, or just like policing in general, which I took a lot from a workshop or a seminar that we attended at the III conference, which was about rethinking our school's approach to violence. I think that is always going to be an underpinning conversation about how we address students in our buildings and the tools that we leverage to do that, to really reach them. But I hope that everyone has a really great holiday break and that we eat delicious food.
Oh, yes.
I just want to say,
Go ahead, Ms. Anna.
I also, everyone talked about the presenters from Waukegan, and I just want to give kudos to Dr. Cesario, because he too did a presentation at III.
Yes.
And our superintendent. So we had 3.
Oh,
yes.
Superintendent did too?
Yeah. But
didn't say nothing.
So with that, I'd like a motion to go into closed session under exception C1, specific
So moved.
personnel, C2.
Second.
I got to go through them, guys. C2, negotiations, C10, individual student matters, and C11, actual threat and litigation.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak,
Second.
second by Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lekisamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, we are now going back into closed session. If we can meet downstairs, to community members, we will not be reconvening. We'll be concluding open session. There's no other action that will be taken today.